Well, welcome back. You're still watching Fut-Afrique. This is the last part of the show, so if you've just joined us, you're just in time for the final conversation. Make sure that you interact with us on all social media platforms. We're asking you that trivia question that comes to you live and direct every single week. This week, we are asking you, Cote d'Ivoire is hosting the Africa Cup of Nations 34th edition next year. Prior to this, how many times have they hosted the competition? Hashtag Fut-Afrique is the only hashtag that matters. But what matters right now as well is the conversation I'm about to have with Jessica Bukamo-Sonkomo. Auntie Diski to you. How are you doing, Mama?
I'm good, Mama. How are you doing?
I'm excited. I think this also gets to get people to know another side of you, right?
100%.
It's not just the women's football that we know, it's also the African football that we know. The role that you have is to give us the starter pack of the teams that will be competing within the competition.
Yes.
What I mean by that, if you're watching at home and you're asking yourself, by the time Afcon starts, you will know everything that you need as a starters. So Afcon, we've got you covered. What's it like?
Yes. And speaking about that, I feel like location-wise, Cote d'Ivoire, it's where we've been at.
Yes.
Like, you know, we were covering CAF, Nzarelemo, and now we're going to Afcon, Nzareleda. So I think it's basically the place to be. I think you and I need to find ourselves there somehow.
Yeah, do you understand? They normally say that other radio station is where it's at. But the real truth is Cote d'Ivoire is where it's at. Alrighty, let's get into the conversation. Let's start with Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire obviously grouped into Group A. They are the people who actually are the hosts. But they still played in the qualifiers.
Yes.
But let's talk about their victory. The last time in which they've actually won this competition.
So just to speak about the statistics, right? And I think Cote d'Ivoire is one team that has really had a good run in Afcon. You know, they've had 24 appearances. They've won it twice. The first time was in 1992 and the second time was in 2015. So I think they do have a little bit of bragging rights in terms of winning it. And they've appeared in 4 finals. So that speaks volumes about the kind of, you know, investment and, you know, growth that the country has when it comes to, you know, best performances. And I mean, they've had players like Drogba, you know, who's still currently the top goal scorer with 65 goals.
Yeah.
So I think it speaks about the nation and how much they invest in football and how good they are. And I think being placed in Group A with another giant like Nigeria is going to definitely be a very good, I think, group to really look at.
I agree with you, but I don't agree with you, right? Because you talk about Drogba and you talk about, those are the stars of yesteryear, someone who went on to dominate when it comes to football everywhere, right? I feel like Cote d'Ivoire hasn't been able to produce stars, and enough stars at that. Do you get what I mean? So I think the development, yes, but I think there's still the pressure of what was done before, and now the now generation needs to rewrite their own narrative.
Yes. I wanna disagree with you, but I'm going to have to agree with you because I feel like both Drogba and your Etos have really set the standard and the bar so high that we were hoping that with the development and the growth and the investment that's happening with football currently, we'd be getting more goals. You know, those records would be broken easily. However, it's not. So we just need to find what is the science in terms of those records still standing there. Because if you look at a lot of countries, our records, even with South Africa, our records for the top goal scorers in these kind of tournaments have still been what they were before. So we need to have a conversation as to, is it that difficult? Is the performance dropping? What is the science behind that?
No, definitely. I do believe that Cote d'Ivoire's always had that dark cloud, and it's a blessing and a curse to have people who have come before you to be great. But it's also just like, the pressure is too much. But that is Cote d'Ivoire, the elephants. So let's move along to Nigeria. First of all, give me their nickname because I want to know their nickname. I feel like
it's all about the birds. We're having a conversation about it, you know, to say the Super Eagles, and we know the ladies are called Super Falcons. But I think Nigeria, again, is definitely a team that, you know, has been doing well, especially in the African continent. Doesn't matter if it's, you know, just with Afcon, but I think they've produced some great stars, and we know they've got players in the international spaces as well. So I definitely think that they're going to be the competition for Cote d'Ivoire, because if we are looking at Equatorial Guinea and Guinea-Bissau, I think they fall as the top bottom, the bottom two.
We'll get to them.
Yeah, we'll get to them. But I think Nigeria is definitely going to, you know, give them a tough time. They've won it 3 times before, and I think they're obviously looking at elevating that number in terms of, you know, representing the West African region.
As well with Nigeria, I think the dark cloud that hangs over them is, can we just get past the last 16? Like, can that be something that we do? But I do believe that now with Osimhen being nominated, right, as Player of the Year, and just the traction that he's got on him, that also just uplifts and gives us hope. There's something right that's happening in that Niger water.
We hope so. We hope so. I'm going to hold you to this. I will. After we look at the performance, we'll come back to this conversation.
They better pass the last 16, or else that's not an improvement. That is not an improvement.
So much pressure. So the countries I actually want to talk about is definitely Equatorial Guinea and Guinea-Bissau.
And National Thunder.
A little bit based on the group that they've been put in. We've already discussed Nigeria and we've discussed Cote d'Ivoire in terms of their performance, their statistics, and how well they've been doing in this competition. But if you're looking at numbers, let me just make an example. Guinea-Bissau, right? So they've been having qualifiers, right, before that, and it's been years. I'm sure before you and I were even born. However, their only first appearance in Afcon was in 2017. So they've been trying and trying. Probably the development is just not getting there for them to make it to, Afcon.
They're late bloomers.
They're late bloomers. And if you're looking at statistics as well in terms of goals, their top goal scorer for the country is sitting at 9 goals. And if you're comparing to other nations, we've seen bigger numbers. So it's a conversation about maybe the structures of development in the football holistically that's maybe pulling them a little bit back, and the numbers aren't looking so great for them. And I mean, 2017 was their first appearance, and there's no consistency again between these two countries. Because I remember you had a conversation with Ntate Brian when you asked them a similar question, and I'm saying to the whole conversation is that if you are going to work so hard, and we're saying that it's a big moment for them to actually be part of Afcon. However, if we don't see you again for the next coming 5 years, and you're going to come again, there's no consistency, and we need to have a conversation and talk perhaps about the science of why these countries had so much time for qualifications, but they don't actually advance.
I'm going to throw shade. I'm going to say that for Guinea-Bissau, because their nickname is the African Wild Dogs. There must be something happening. And the other one is what? National Thunder? Thunder's only when there's rain. so understand that. That's why. But I get what you mean.
Yes.
I get what you mean. But I think it's a good thing that Afcon is just 24. Back to Brian Mofokeng's point. Good that it's 24 because it's quality over quantity, right? Yes. You have to earn your spot. But what you're saying is we need the consistency so that if people are actually going to be putting in money into these countries, they know they're going to get their values worth.
Thank you. Well, 3 appearances doesn't cut it.
Well,
but maybe I'm being shady.
Yeah, maybe you're being shady. I mean, it's the Wild Dogs and the National Thunder. You don't see those things every day.
Look, they've been put in a group with tough teams. Perhaps that could actually, work in advance for them, with the performance.
Okay, my producer's going to kill me. Let's wrap it up.